I was reading this book called Sway, The Irresistible Pull of Irrational Behavior. Look it up on Amazon or your nearest bookstore, wherever you can find it. It is a great book. It will change the way you think about decision making process. There was an experiment in that book uh, to put the participants in certain situations so they can outline a statistical analysis and analyze what most people think, how most people react to different situations. And so they can bucketize it that this is a more generic response given this trigger. They tell the participant that they'll be locked inside a room, and that room will only have a small window or where they cannot see who's on the other side. All they know is that the person on the other side has been given an X amount of money, let's say $10. Let's say $10 has been given to that person. Now, these guys are not allowed to communicate. And that person on the other side will make an offer. And if the offer is acceptable to you, you take that money and the experiment is over at that point in time and you walk away with that money. If that money is not acceptable, you don't take it, but you cannot communicate. So that means the first offer that the person makes, if it's not acceptable, you don't take the money and the experiment ends. But if the offer is acceptable to you, you take the money and the experiment ends. They will note down the results and analyze it. I'll get to it. In this situation, what happened? Let's take sample A. So in this situation, what happened was, if there's $10 on the other side, they are not allowed to communicate. Most of the people would not accept anything below $5 because they felt that it was unfair for the other person on the other side to keep more than half the amount. And now it wasn't about the money, it was about being fair, right? So we were expecting fairness from an individual. Okay, now let's come to part B. Part B is where the same experiment, but they're allowed to communicate. So what happens is, the person on the other side, if they would make an offer with an explanation, most of the people would even go for less amount of money, irrespective of how much they offered. But if they have a valid explanation which creates a trigger in this person saying, I think that person needs the money more, they would be willing to give it up. At that point in time, the fairness wasn't into the equation because the person has now explained their side, and now what they're doing is they're offering you maybe a smaller amount, perhaps zero amount, and walk out, both of them happy, even though one person has received less than half or zero amount of money. So that's part B. Part C was, the participants were told that there's a computer on the other side, there's a system on the other side, which is going to generate a number randomly for you, and you can take it or leave it. Most of the people accepted the offer, even if it was less than half or way less than half, and they would still accept the offer and walk away. Now let's get into the analysis of these three experiments. Part A was when two people are not communicating with each other and there is an offer on the table. If it's not fair, it won't be accepted. Okay. Part B tells us, if there is an offer on the table and even if it's not fair, but there's a real strong human reason that can trigger a response in the other person saying, okay, I understand your point of view, I can put myself in your shoes, and the person can display empathy towards the other person, chances are your offer is going to be accepted. And the third thing is the third situation where the computer was generating a random number. We do not expect fairness from a system, and the system can throw anything at you and you'll accept it. This is what happens in most of the places when we go to a big organization or perhaps anywhere where there is authority, and most of the times the authority says the system has thrown this number or the system has thrown this decision at us. What we really forget is that you and I, we make this system. A system is built by people. Sure, I understand there is automation, there is algorithms and all, but taking all that aside, the systems were designed by people, and yet we do not expect a system to have an explanation for us. Maybe somewhere along the line we want human relationships to stay intact. Maybe somewhere along the line we want humans to communicate with each other, and we expect reason from a person, but not from a system. This is on a conscious level. If you know it, you will challenge the system. If the system is throwing an unfair decision on us, we must question the system and we must ask who made the system, and I want to talk to that person. That was my takeaway from this experiment. I wanted to share this with you because, again, system is made by people and the system's got to be fair. It can't be an unfair system. All right, so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching and see you next time.